Studio B, we've been having a blast stitching a big quilt. This is a beautiful sister quilt, and we've been stitching it with a theme. I chose a theme, and based on that theme, I'm using it for inspiration for the free motion and ruler quilting designs. Each session we go through step by step the process. We talked about the batting, double batting, stabilizing the quilt. Then from there, what was the next step after the quilt stabilized? In this session, it's inspiration for stitching the background. Prior to that, we did a little backtracking and talked about my practice session with creating the big flowers. There was one full session on how to quilt big flowers using acrylic templates and why it's important to practice. And this is a practice sandwich where I've stitched out another big flower, and then I stitched out what I think might be the background stitching, the stitching around the flowers in the big quilt. I've tried several different designs with acrylic rulers based on doing research on the theme. And so now this is another option that I've stitched out on a practice piece that's similar to the dark green. And then I tried another pattern, serpentine based pattern, again based on the theme. Which one of the three designs will work well for what I want to say in the quilt? Next, we looked at the thread value, thread color against all the fabrics that are in the quilt. We talked about how the color value matters, and it matters based on what you want to say, what I want to say in my personal quilt. Do I want the background stitching to blend, contrast, and then if it's a contrast, how much of a contrast? How dense do I want to quilt the background stitching, meaning the stitching around the big flowers? So in each Studio Live session, Studio B, we have been talking about the whole process of quilting this big quilt, step by step. And in this session, it was all about practicing and taking time to make a plan for the background quilting, design, and thread.